welcome to a new vlog. I thought I would put my makeup on and chat to you all. I've actually, to be honest, I've ummed and ahed about whether I was going to vlog this week or not, because I just, been feeling out of sorts, to be perfectly honest, but oh, that actually just went shooting off. But I wanted to come on here and I wanted to chat to you because I knew the longer I left it, the harder it would be. I've almost run out of my Trini foundation. And look, my rash has cleared up on this side, but I've got it now on this side. But it is improving. It is improving. And so we've got to hold on to like all the positives as much as possible. I actually think I've now put too much foundation on. And my brushes are up here. I'm using them as a stand. But yes, I just thought that if I left it another week, like this week's going to be tricky, next week's going to be tricky, and then I'm hoping things would be a little bit easier for a while. So I don't even know where to start. Tish, who works for me, is in Thailand, which actually is a complete and utter blessing because I had to batch a whole load of content before she left. And my deadline was pretty much as I found out that my father had died. So I had got so much done in advance, which is a complete and utter blessing, apart from my weekly vlogs, because those are like live, weekly, like they're not live, but you know what I mean? It's like in the moment. And so therefore, it's given me a little bit of time, which is why I didn't vlog last week. It was half term and I just needed the time to kind of process and just be present for the children as much as possible. So that is what I did, which is why I wasn't around. And I wasn't sure if I had, I don't know what the word is. But I just wasn't sure if I wanted to vlog this week. But then I knew if I didn't vlog this week, I probably wouldn't vlog next week. And then I'd be out of the swing of things. And so sometimes you've just got to pull yourself together, pop your makeup on, get on with it. So the children went back to school yesterday and I did exactly that. I put on my makeup and I had a wonderful Zoom with my members club and this month's expert. And it was really, really positive and it was really kind of cathartic and it was exactly what I needed. And then I spent the rest of the day doing a whole load of admin. Like when someone dies, there's a whole load of stuff. And my brother, as many of you know, lives abroad. And so a lot of that stuff has fallen to me to organise. And that's okay. I knew that was going to be the case. But it all takes so much time. And because Dad didn't live near, you know, there's that to factor in too. Like I spent 3 hours trying to make an appointment to register, not even register his death, declare his death, because there didn't seem like much point in driving up there to register it, but actually in hindsight it probably would have been easier. So there's quite a lot of admin. So the next few weeks vlogs probably aren't going to be great. I apologise in advance. I'm doing my best. And I think, as I said on Instagram, and I've talked about my relationship with my dad in the past. If you guys have been here for a while, you will have heard me talk about him. And let's just, I suppose a lot of things, I've had a lot of clarity on things in the last like 10 days. My father was a wonderful man. He's very, very, very academic, like on a different spectrum. And that comes with its own struggles. And he was really misunderstood. And I think him being misunderstood changed him. And he became obsessed about the things that he was passionate about, which was the environment. It was global warming, it was acid rain, he was into aeroplanes, he was a pilot in the RAF. He became really passionate but completely obsessed, and it became impossible to live with him in the way he was. And that actually destroyed my mother, because she believed that marriage was for life. She was very, very religious. She took her vows really seriously, and that broke her. But it also broke my father, and so it's a huge tragedy. Like, the whole thing is really tragic, and my brother and I got caught up in the mess of it all, and all I wanted was like a normal, loving family. And I had this father that was on a different planet, that would only talk about the stuff that he was obsessed by. And I think, in a way, when I went to visit him, and I'll leave that video link down below, before Christmas, it was one of my Vlogmas episodes, and I couldn't, he was inside, he was alive, but we didn't know that, because he wasn't answering the door, and I was outside for hours, knocking on the door, calling through the letterbox, speaking to his neighbours. And in that time, speaking to his neighbours, I realised that it wasn't just me that couldn't have a normal relationship with him. A lot of them couldn't, well, none of them could. And his immediate neighbour used to hide from him. But he hadn't always been so difficult. And he had been a really loving, wonderful father with a phenomenal brain. And so growing up, and when everything kind of went wrong and we couldn't live with him anymore, it was a head bleep that word in. That is the only way I can describe it, because I just couldn't understand how someone could change. And that was me as his daughter. Mum as his wife was the same. And he became completely obsessed with getting the family back. He became completely obsessed with her in a really damaging way. And it just was a living nightmare. And I have had years of therapy. I actually have a therapy session this afternoon. And I've had a couple prior, to just kind of get my head around this and process it, because I always knew, and Mum died 7 years ago, and because of the effects of Dad on her, and maybe the way she was wired too, it wasn't an easy relationship with her. But she was a wonderful person, but she was very damaged by the marriage. And when you grieve somebody that you have a complicated relationship, sorry, there's a truck outside, the window's open. When you grieve somebody that you have a complicated relationship with, grief is complicated too. And I have prepared myself in the best possible way as I could by having years of therapy, by having, and actually this was probably the most helpful last year, I had some specific trauma work done with Kate Finn, and I'm going to leave her details linked down below. Kate is a clinical hypnotherapist, and we did some specific work on my childhood trauma. And when I visited Dad in August and before Christmas, I realised that the work I had done, I was okay. I wasn't triggered by seeing him. I wasn't triggered by the situation in the way I had been in the past. And I was talking to somebody this morning, and I said to her, I just don't know if I can vlog at the moment. And she was like, but Charlie, you being so honest will help other people. And so I hope that me like sharing this really raw emotions, it's helpful, because grieving somebody you love is really painful. Grieving somebody that you have a complicated relationship with is really painful too, you know. He was my father, and I think the reason why I'm crying and getting emotional now is because it's just tragic. The whole thing is tragic, and I am trying to just take each day as it comes I'm trying to be kind to myself. I'm trying to be really honest with the children, because they couldn't have a relationship with their grandfather. I'm distracting myself by putting my makeup on, because if I don't, I will cry. And actually, I have got 10 minutes before I have a meeting, so I don't want to lose track of time. You know, it's really difficult for the children because they couldn't know him as a grandparent in a normal way. And I desperately tried for him to be involved in their lives, but he was just on his other planet, and he couldn't interact with them in a normal way. And I really hoped that he would have been able to, because when I was little, we did some really lovely things together. He taught me to fish, he taught me to shoot. I was in the Pony Club triathlon team, and I was really good with a pistol, but that was because of my father. He set up a target range in our cellar at home, and people would come over for shooting lessons. And he was really passionate. He was great with children. He was great teaching children. He was a wonderful man. And that is what is just really tragic about the whole thing, because my children didn't get to see that side of him. And it's sad. It's a real sad, a real shame. But that's life. And I hope that me, talking about this will help you guys if you have complicated relationships with family members. And there are so many people that do. Like, we can't choose our family, but we can choose our friends. And I am really lucky that my children have got some really wonderful role models. And when we chose their godparents, we knew that that those godparents needed to be special people, because they needed to fulfill, other relationships, because my children don't have, for the last 7 years, he's been their only living grandparent. And, I'm so lucky that my uncle plays a huge part in their lives. And we see a lot of him and his wife, and, they remember birthdays, they invite us to celebrate Christmas. And so we are really, really lucky that we have that. But it's not easy. It's not easy. And tomorrow I have to put my bravest pants on and go up to his home, which I should have done. I should have done it last week, but I knew that I had to be really, really kind to myself. I don't think I can put mascara on at the moment. I knew I had to be really kind to myself, and I knew that it was the children's half term, and I needed to show them that I was okay. And if I went and did that job during half term, I would have, it wasn't right. And so Dad's landlord has just had to be patient and understanding that I will do it as soon as I possibly can. But I found out that Dad had died the day the children broke up for half term, or two of them, and actually one of them had an orthodontist appointment on the Friday and didn't go back to school. So they were here hours after I knew. And so I have just been kind to myself by taking, because I had batched a whole load of work, that was fine. And then taking last week off from vlogging, and just trying to be as present for the children as I possibly could. We also have some other stuff going on at the moment, which as and when I can share, I will, but I can't at the moment. So it's just, I think Dad dying now is just like everything is happening at once, sort of happening at once. Like the other stuff isn't quite happening, but it's on the cards anyway. I'll share when I can. And so I suppose because of everything, it's just been a lot all at once, and a lot for the children. So it wasn't the most fun half term for them, but I did my best. And I am so grateful that I have Si, because he is blooming brilliant, and he's taking tomorrow off to come with me and to hold my hand and support me. Dad was a hoarder, and Dad didn't clean. Mum did go in and clean for him until she found out that Dad had a girlfriend, and then she stopped doing that. And that was like 26 or 27 years ago. So imagine grim, quadruple it, and that's what I've got to face tomorrow. And I'm not exaggerating. And I'm not going to take pictures, and I'm not going to share it, but I will put my bravest pants on. I will do what I can, and then house clearance are going to be booked to come in and do the rest. Because a few people have said, Charlie, there's absolutely no way that you can do this. And I couldn't. I did go in before Christmas. I haven't been upstairs for years. But anyway, that is what tomorrow is entailing. And so I'm just pottering around at the moment, doing the animals, looking after the puppies who are bringing us a lot of joy, a lot of cuddles, and doing the horses. The loading with Santana is improving. So basically it was amazing. I think what happened, hang on, let me check the time. No, I'm going to tell you about Santana's loading later because I need to get ready. I've got a meeting in a few minutes now, so I will fill you in on that later on. Goodness, it's so gloomy and grey and miserable out there. But anyway, I've had my meeting. I've come downstairs. I'm going to try and not cry again today. Okay, I'm going to be positive. I've talked to you about all of that stuff. I've got the drying up behind me if you wonder what's going on. But yes, we were talking about Santana loading. Ugh. Okay, so when she cut herself on New Year's Eve, she had to be sedated for the vet to look at it and, you know, shave it and do all of that stuff. So when we loaded her, she was sedated and she loaded really easily from here. And I put Lip Hook Equine Hospital into Waze, and Waze took me the country roads. But when you're driving, you're towing a trailer, you're really ill, because I was in bed with a chest infection, you're not feeling great, you just drive. And I've never been there before, so I didn't know even, like, I knew it was that way, that's all I knew. So I just drove, and it really did. It took me to Midhurst, and then it took me the back roads, Woolbeading, Milland. If you know that area, you'll know it's not where you want to be towing a trailer. It's basically Forest Mere is where Lip Hook Equine Hospital is, and we went like tiny country lanes. And I drove really slowly and I drove really carefully, but when we arrived, she was literally dripping in sweat and a bit of a, you know, nervous wreck. I don't blame her. But when a horse is sedated to travel, it's much harder for them to stand up, and it's much harder for them to travel like that. So anyway, when it came to bring her home, she didn't want to load. And it was getting dark, it was twilight, it was windy, it was wet, it was a stormy January evening, dusk. She did not want to load. So they sedated her to load her, which I think was a positive, but also a negative, because she then had to travel sedated again. So then when it came to loading here, we managed to kind of load her okay-ish from home, but when we were coming back from where we'd been, Coco's lessons, she didn't want to get in. And then the situation kind of escalated when you're trying to load a horse and they don't want to load, and it can just get messy. So we just stripped it right back, and you can't whip her, you can't use lunge lines, you can't pull her in. She's a chestnut mare, she's a 5-year-old. It's got to be on her terms. I just got to think it's on her terms. So we stripped it right back and been feeding her every morning and every evening in the trailer. And so the day Dad died, I was supposed to be taking her for Coco's lesson at school, and Di came to help me load her, and we spent 45 minutes, and I was singing to myself, I was saying prayers, I was trying to keep cool, calm and collected, although I was emotional. She was not going in that trailer, and Di and I gave up after 45 minutes, and Coco was obviously really disappointed, and I had to then drive to say, I'm sorry, darling, I haven't bought your horse. grandpa's died, and it was all horrid. So anyway, luckily I then brought Coco home for half term, and Coco's just been, she's so determined, this daughter of mine. She has loaded her every morning and every evening and fed her on the trailer. So we started off just at the bottom of the ramp with a food bowl, and now we are going into the trailer. We've actually taken out the centre partition. I'm sorry if this chat is really boring for you unhorsey people, but it might help some of you, I don't know. Or it might just be interesting listening to me prattle on. We've taken the centre partition out, and we've got extra long breast bars front and back. And we are loading her with the front breast bar up now. And this morning, because Coco leaves really early for school, at like 7:05, so she can't do it when she's at school. But she was like, "Mama, you will still do it, won't you?" I'm like, yeah, okay. So I've been feeding Santana on the trailer. So I did that this morning, which was a success. Well, I was talking to my lovely friend who was like, you know, Charlie, you need to share this stuff. You need to talk about it. That's, you know, why people enjoy you, because you're real and you're honest. So I was like, yes, I'm gonna have a shower. I'm gonna vlog. I'm gonna vlog today. So the loading is going well. Now, I've got to take her to school this week, so we will see what happens. Hopefully I get her on. I'm just going to treat it like a normal feeding session, like an extra one. I'm not going to put her bridle on. I'm not going to load all the stuff. I'm not going to put her boots on. We're just going to keep it really simple, and hopefully it works, because Coco is so desperate to progress and do things, and she can't do that if we can't go anywhere. So that is why she's so determined. So I don't want to let her down. So I'm on a mission to keep up the momentum of breakfast and supper in a bowl. And she has sugar beet, which is so it's quite sloppy. And yeah, literally just in my dirty coat and trousers being slopped on by this horse. But at least she went on pretty easily today, which is good. So progress. I can hear those little puppies. Shall we go and see them? Shall we? There are my babies. Oh, this one. He is very sweet. That little boy. He is very sweet. And look, their eyes have opened, which is just so special. And aren't you just gorgeous? Yes, you are. You are. And then that one is fast asleep, that little girl. This one is terribly little and terribly gorgeous. I think actually this one and I have a bit of a soft spot for each other, don't we, darling? In fact, we're calling her Pip, which, yes, she is gorgeous. And her sister is fast asleep. Pip's a little bit darker than her sister. Yeah, Pip is the only one who hasn't got a home yet. I think I'm trying not to find a home for her, because I'd quite like to keep her, but Sam said no, we've got too much going on. There's too much going on, but you are gorgeous. You are gorgeous, my little bundles. So anyway, I'm going to take the dogs for a walk, and then we're going to have some lunch. And then I need to crack on with a whole load of lists of things I need to do and sort out and phone calls. It was quite nice having the children, well, it was more than quite nice, it was lovely having the children here for half term, because I just had the perfect excuse not to do all of the stuff that you have to do. And I have said to a few friends, being a grown-up just absolutely sucks, like having to do this stuff. And anyhow, you guys are gorgeous, gorgeous. You're not even time wasters. You're just bundles of joy that I adore. Yes, I do. You're gorgeous, and they're so sweet. Right. I will chat to you all later on. So I'm being quite brave trying to multitask, but here we are in the trailer. This is how we hang out when Coco's not around. My girl and I. bonding. I put my head torch on, although it's not quite dark yet. It's getting dark and I need to do the mucking out. But because I can't multitask, I basically have to stand here for 10, 15 minutes until she's finished her supper. But look, we are on the trailer, which is very, very exciting. So if we've got to do this for a few more weeks, I don't care. Patience. Rome wasn't built in a day. I look such a sight with my hat, my head torch, my hair's gone scarecrow on me. But this is how we roll, isn't it, Santana? Yes, it is. Bless her. Anyhow, I'm listening to Jay Shetter's podcast with Ed Miley's, I think it's called. Anyway, it's very interesting. So I'm going to go back to that and see you all. Actually, not tomorrow, but the next day now. I'm going to have tomorrow with my husband, and I'm going to be as positive as I possibly can. I'm also seeing my godmother. I'm going to have a wonderful hug with her. So I'm just going to focus on the positivities of what could be a really difficult day. If we reframe things and if we think they're going to be positive, they're more than likely to be better than we were anticipating. So that is what I'm going to do, and I will see you soon. Hi, I am back. I'm back, and actually I was doing some ironing and thought I would come and talk to you all. So yesterday was pretty grim, to be honest. It was grim. I think that's the only word for it, but I had my darling husband and my godmother, my fairy godmother. I said, you really don't need to come. She was like, no, I'm going to be there. She bought coffee, she bought Coke, she bought a smile, much needed hugs and support and love and kindness. And, you know, it's so difficult going through somebody's home when they've died, and it was just awful, and it was so sad. And I think because of the circumstances, because of the situation, the whole thing is just pretty heartbreaking, to be perfectly honest, and tragic, really tragic. I found all sorts of things that I didn't really want to find, but I needed to find. I didn't find everything that I was looking for, so the job isn't done, but we did our best. And it got to the stage where we'd been there for a good few hours and I needed to leave. I am trying to be really kind to myself, and I'm trying to pace myself and be sensible, and I have to hold it together for everybody right now. And if I beat myself up by doing too much and not looking after myself, then I'm useless. And I really learnt that lesson when I was much younger, when Mum didn't look after herself when she was stressed, and then the situation escalated. She wouldn't sleep, she wouldn't eat, and then then she'd lose her mind a bit. So I have learnt my lesson, learnt the lesson watching her, and I said, enough, we've all done enough. We went and had a cuppa and washed our hands and had a good sort out, because Dad never cleaned. So it was really, really grim. Not for the faint-hearted at all. I said before I went, I had to put my biggest brave pants on, and boy, I really did. And I didn't sleep well last night. I just kept having images popping up. I did have a large drink when I got home after supper, and I did take a Nitol because I knew it was going to be a restless night, and it really was. And now I'm just faced with the task of sort of sorting everything and getting things in order, and that isn't easy, but little baby steps, one thing at a time. I had a couple of meetings this morning. I've got just over an hour before I need to attempt to load Santana to take her for Coco's lesson. So I'm just going to spend the next bit of time writing a list and making a few phone calls that I can do. And tomorrow I am not registering Dad's death, but I'm declaring it before it can be registered, because I'm not registering it where he died. So, once that's been done, then I can start the ball rolling you know, getting things organised. And so baby steps. And I thought I've ummed and ahed, and I've probably already said this. I can't remember what I've said and what I haven't said. Like, I thought about maybe not vlogging this week. But if I didn't vlog this week, I probably wouldn't vlog next week, or maybe even the week after. And I think it's really important that I'm honest with you and I share what's going on as much as I possibly can. And I think it's also really important that I process things as much as I can before I share them as well. I've had, as I've mentioned, I had another therapy session before going up to Dad's. And my therapist and I am so grateful that I am in a position to have her. And she has been my therapist for like 10, 12 years, a long time. And we don't talk constantly and regularly and the whole time for that period of time. But when I meet her, I reach out and get in touch. And when I knew that there was a strong chance that Dad had died, I actually sent her a message before I knew, saying, I think I'm going to need you to hold my hand through this. And I don't know why I'm crying telling you this, but she is holding my hand, and I'm so lucky I have her. I have my wonderful fairy godmother, and I've got a few wonderful friends that are being really supportive right now. There's a lot of people I can't talk to because sometimes talking too much is exhausting. And so I'm just having to be super, super kind to myself, because I have to be strong for my children and for Simon, and I need to look after myself in the best way I can, which is why I am denied about vlogging or not. But there are going to be situations that you guys are going through that are really shitty and really tough and really hard, and hopefully me sharing this will help you. And that is what that girl age 16 said when I was going through an equally shitty time as I am right now. I said, you know, I'm going through this, so one day I can help other people by sharing it. And so this is raw and this is real, and I'm sharing it with you guys. And I'm trying to compartmentalize things. So I had a podcast recording with Dolly Waddell, and Dolly is a wonderful friend. She also has a very strong faith, and we prayed before we started recording, and we prayed that yesterday was going to be as positive as it blooming well could be. And her words were really powerful and really helped. So I think the combination of that and having a therapy session put me in the best possible state for it. And then having, you know, my amazing godmother and my husband beside me was what I needed. And then knowing when enough was enough and when it was time to leave. And yes, I hadn't done everything that I wanted to do, but I had done enough. And it was important to step away and to get back, to pick the children up and be here for them in the best possible way I could. And we had lots of hugs last night, and you know, I just tried to look after myself in the best possible way I could, because my mum didn't. So mum would not sleep, she wouldn't eat, and then she'd get in a real state, and then I would get scared. And I remember being quite a young girl, or in my early teens, having to call a doctor to say I'm really, really worried about her. And I never want my children to feel like that, because it's really scary as a child, a teenager, worrying about a parent so much that you have to call a doctor. So for me, looking after myself and pacing myself right now and putting up the barriers and the boundaries I need around me is really, really crucial, and I, you know, we'll share, you know, what I can. We've got the funeral next week, and that's going to be tough, and then it's just baby steps, and it's doing what I can and getting things in order. And yeah. So anyway, I am going to write my list. I'm going to make a few phone calls, and I'm really going to hope and pray that I can get that horse in the trailer. I did it this morning, so hopefully I'm going to try and trick her and pretend that we're not going anywhere apart from we're having lunch in the trailer, because why not? You lucky girl, you get an extra fee today. And it's raining and blooming miserable, so hopefully she comes in and then wonderful Di is coming to put the back of the trailer up because I can't hold the front end and do the back end. And then I'm going to call Simon if I've got her on to say we're ready to go, and he's going to come with me. I hope that's the plan, because he was like, you know, darling, he's being so supportive. He's lucky he can work from kind of wherever. So he's been in the office this morning and he said, you know, I'd love to come and just be with you this afternoon, which I am just so grateful that I have a rock, and a blooming wonderful one. So yes, and then he said, okay, so we've got into Virgin River. I haven't told you this. So it came out like at the end of August, September last year. I was so excited about watching it, but I've been really busy, got distracted. It hasn't happened because it's something that we like to sit down as a couple and do together. So Simon's been here, there and everywhere. So have I. Lots going on and we haven't had a chance. And the other night he said, why don't we watch something nice and just take our mind off everything? And I said, great idea. What about Virgin River? And he said, yes, brilliant. So we actually did 2 episodes the other night. And I think we're going to do the same thing this evening, which is something that we both really enjoy watching together. And it's something to look forward to. And I think when things are tough and things are pretty difficult and challenging and whatever, having those little things to look forward to is really, really important. So a box of chocolates and Virgin River and my husband, that's all I want on a Thursday night. So that is the plan. Anyway, I'm stop chatting, I must stop prevaricating, and I must write that list and make a few phone calls. So I've written my list and started making some phone calls, and one of the people that I spoke to was one of Dad's friends. He didn't have very many friends because his brain was on a different wavelength, but this friend that I was chatting to was a fellow technocrat. I think that is, Dad would approve of me saying that, and he's big into the environment and global warming and all of those things. And I just said to him, I can totally understand why you and Dad got on. He was such a lovely man, so knowledgeable, and just had a really, really lovely conversation with him about Dad. So that's a little bit of positive. And the post has come, and something I think exciting. So I thought we would open it together because it's got a sticker on, so I know where it's from. And I think it's rather relevant for what we're about to do next. So we shall open it. I've just put the dogs outside, and actually I haven't had lunch yet. And I need to do that because I don't have long now. But I thought we'd quickly open this. So this lovely girl got in touch and said, Charlie, can I send you something? And she is called Henrietta Pierce, and Henrietta Pierce Somerset. So I will leave this link down below. And look, Pony Club stuff. I mean, that, and then it's got her logo on the back. That couldn't be more perfect. And the colours are just gorgeous. So I'm going to take that with me. I think that is just the most super tote. Big bag. So she has got, well, I'll leave her website link down below. She has got such an amazing selection of bags, and they're a really good size. So you can put, I'm going to put Coco's jodhpurs, her jodhpur boots, some snacks for us, my other spare coat because it's so wet I think I need a change of coat. I can pop this all in here to take with me, and I think it's super smart, and I love the colours. So that is something utterly lovely to receive after being emotional and a bit of a wreck. I also have got a delivery from Lakeland. Shall we open that quickly too? Yes, let's. This is my Lakeland order. I always I always remember Faith Baxter when I have a Lakeland delivery. I remember her saying, "Do you know about Lakeland plastic?" In fact, I think she said plastic. And she said it's the most wonderful shop. You can get everything there. I love it too. So this is what I have got today. We were talking about these in my members club, or my efficient home course. Maybe both. These are the under bed storage vacuum totes, and I like the fact that they are quite slim, so you literally can put them under a bed, and I have got a few of these. So in fact I think I got 4 of these. Now these are the best vacuum storage out there because they last for years and years and years. I have got some bigger ones that don't fit under my bed, which is why I have got these ones. But they have literally lasted probably about 8 years. So sometimes it's worth spending a little bit more, but getting really good quality that lasts longer, because these are going to last for years and years. Whereas there are some cheaper ones that you can get elsewhere that aren't as good. So, sorry, I've got hiccups too. I'm talking too quickly. And then I got my super deluxe moisturising gloves, because if you don't know about these guys, you need to know about these. They are simply the best washing up gloves out there. I have a size small. My hands, I would say, are like a 7.5 in glove size. So I don't have particularly big hands. Oh, the dogs are barking, they want to come in. But these are simply the best. I love them. It's really important that you get the right size for you. If they're too big, they're annoying. And if they're too small, then you go through the fingers really quickly. Like if somebody with a bigger hand wears my gloves, they will split them. Whereas these will last me 3 or 4 months. So it is important to get the right size. If you find yourself going through gloves quickly, it is possibly because you're using the wrong size. Because I wear these all the time, which is why I try to keep my nails looking good and nice. I actually went nude this time. I can't remember what that shade is called, but it's quite nice and natural. So anyway, I am feeling, actually it was so nice to speak to this chap. He was so lovely, and I actually hope that I stay in touch with him. He was just delightful. Anyway, I need to eat something quickly, and I need to go and try and get that horse in the trailer. Well, where do I start? I look like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards. I think maybe I've got a little bit more colour in my face. Si's just gone back to the office. Well, we got loaded easily, but she wasn't a happy bunny. She was not a happy bunny when the back of the trailer went up and she knew that we were going somewhere. We got there and she was dripping with sweat and was like a fire-breathing dragon. And Si looked very anxious and Coco looked quite anxious. And I said, do you know what? We're going to go straight home. We're not going to unload her and you're not going to ride her. I wouldn't have wanted to have put a saddle on a horse that was that agitated and that had got that hot and sweaty for fear of colicking. And I thought that if we got her off, we may not get her back on. And the weather has calmed down now. We actually have some blue sky over there, but it was wild, exposed and blowing a hoolie and lashing with rain where we were. Hence why I look like this. So yes, I made the executive decision. Darling, I'm really sorry we're not going to be riding today. We are going straight home. And I literally closed up the trailer and drove off quite rapidly because I knew that the horse was just getting more and more agitated. She actually travelled back happily. She arrived home not too sweaty, so she sort of dried off on the journey back and she's currently in her stable, chilling. So we are going back to the drawing board on travelling Santana. I'm going to come up with plan B, C or D. And we will see what happens. But as it has dried up, I actually think I'm going to take the dogs for a walk. Have a cup of tea, and I don't normally drink tea, but I feel like I need a cup of tea. And yeah, decompress. So I'm sorry this week's vlog has been me as an emotional wreck. Not very good filming, me just chatting to you guys. I'm sorry about that. I promise as the months progress I will improve, but I don't think it's going to happen for a while. So hopefully you will stick with me and see how things unfold. But a day at a time, one step at a time is all we can do. And it's certainly real life here. There's nothing staged at all whatsoever. Somebody sent me a message a couple of days ago saying, Charlie, I love what you do, because it feels like it's real life and it's not staged. It's all very real here. There is nothing staged, and I share with you as much as I possibly can. I have to respect people's privacy and people's feelings and my family's feelings. So you know, I do that while trying to share what I can. I try to get the right balance, and hopefully I get it right. But anyway, for now I'm going to unhitch this trailer. Oh, I didn't know you can spy a skip. We've been having a good sort out. I'm going to unhitch this trailer. I'm going to take the dogs for a walk while I am in my waterproofs and already pretty wet, and then yeah, have a cup of tea, and I will see you all in next week's vlog. I'm really pleased that I got ahead while Tish is away, and have already, you know, pre-recorded some content for you all. So that's coming on Tuesday, and I will be back with you on Friday for a vlog. I think it's Dad's funeral next Thursday, so I will probably just it will just be a short vlog at the beginning of the week before that. And yeah, anyhow, hopefully things start to get easier. I think it all sometimes in life just all happens at once, and in some ways when everything happens at once, you don't have time to sweat the small stuff. Does that make sense? Like, I'm just actually right now, bring on any what have you, I was about to say a bad word, and throw it my way, because the more the merrier. You're welcome. Whatever. I don't know. I mean, it makes me not sweat the small stuff when there's other big stuff going on, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's helpful right now. I slightly feel like it is. Anyway, lots of love, and I will see you soon.